In 1976, Mao Zedong died. The whole of China was in mourning. It was 30 years ago this year, after years of revolutionary struggle, a war against the Japanese and a bitter civil war, that Mao Zedong entered Peking victoriously, riding in a captured American jeep past captured American guns. On October the 1st, 1949, Mao Zedong announced the establishment of the People's Republic of China. Now, and for the past 3 years, China's had a new leader, Chairman Hua Guo-Feng. At 59, he is not only chairman of the Communist Party, premier of the State Council, but also chairman of the Military Commission. Even Mao Zedong never held these three key positions simultaneously. A few weeks ago, at his residence on the outskirts of Peking, Hua Guo-Feng granted me his first personal interview.
Welcome. How are you?
Very well.
Thank you.
I like your place here very much.
我很喜欢你这个地方。你是不是在这儿有的时候滑船？
Although he is the leader of nearly 1,000 million people, he is probably the least well-known of any world leader. I knew from past experience that Chinese leaders are reluctant to talk about themselves. But nevertheless, I tried. I know that you do not like to talk about yourself, but I would like to ask one or two personal questions, if I may. What were the conditions of your family when you were young?
我的家老家是在山西。
I was born in Jiaoshan County, Shanxi Province. My father died when I was 6 years old, and I lived with my mother and elder brother. We were rather poor. After graduating from primary school when I was 13, I stayed home for a year because I couldn't afford to attend middle school. When I was 14, I enrolled in a newly opened vocational school in Jiaoshan County and stayed there until July the 7th, 1937, when the Japanese started their war against China.
How old were you when you joined the revolutionary movement and when you took part against the war against the Japanese? Could you tell us something about that?
我是17岁。
I joined the revolution in 1938 when I was 17 years old and joined the Chinese Communist Party in the same year. The Kuomintang armies retreated before the oncoming Japanese aggressors, while the communist-led 8th Route Army made their way behind enemy lines to carry on guerrilla warfare and establish bases of resistance. The mountainous area of my county was a guerrilla base of resistance surrounded by enemy strongholds. There was bitter fighting, with the Japanese launching mopping-up operations several times a year, during which they practiced a burn-all, kill-all, and loot-all policy. Relying on the people, we persevered in the struggle until final victory. I worked for a long time in my own county, serving as chairman of the Anti-Japanese League, chairman of the Armed Forces Committee of the county, party committee, and party secretary of the county. I was active in the front lines of battle against the Japanese, both on the plains and in the hills.
As an exception to his general rule, Chairman Mao arranged to have photographs taken which have never before been made public, even in China. This is the tiny two-roomed cottage where he was born. And here is the young Hua at the age of 14. His family was too poor to think of being photographed, but this picture is part of a class photograph taken when he entered the vocational school. At the age of 21, he was already in the uniform of a guerrilla fighter. After 1949, Hua went to Hunan province in central China, Mao's home province.
我不是战后去的湖南，我是
When I went to Hunan province, the War of Liberation wasn't yet over. I went south with the PLA in the spring of 1949. We arrived in Hunan in July, and the provincial capital, Changsha, was liberated peacefully in August. I worked in Hunan for 23 years.
During those years, Hua was married. His wife is virtually unknown in China, and this photograph was taken especially for this program. While he was in Hunan, Hua gained a reputation for administrative skills and was put in charge of the planning and construction of the massive Shaoshan irrigation and canal project. He moved rapidly up the political ladder. In 1969, he was elected to the Central Committee of the Communist Party and then first secretary of the Hunan Communist Party.
也就经过4个月的时间吧，
We organized 100,000 people to work on the irrigation project and completed its main channel and north channel in 10 months. The project was inaugurated on June 1st, 1966. It has worked well in the last dozen years. Besides its main function of irrigating more than 60,000 hectares of land, the project can also generate some electricity, help to block floodwaters, serve inland navigation, and breed fish.
I'd like to ask you, when did you first meet Chairman Mao Zedong?
毛主席在过去经常到各省去。
Chairman Mao used to travel the country on inspection tours and would come often to Hunan province. So I could often meet him and report to him on my work. As I recall, I met him for the first time in the early 50s.
1971, I think, you were called to Peking. Was this in connection with the Lin Piao affair and his attempted overthrow of Mao Zedong?
我是1972年71年的2月调到北京来工作的。
I was transferred to work in the State Council in February 1971 and put in charge of agriculture, finance, and commercial affairs. Soon after my arrival, Premier Zhou Enlai sent me on an investigation tour of provinces in South China so I could become familiar with conditions in the country as a whole. So my transfer had nothing to do with Lin Biao and his attempted overthrow of Chairman Mao.